This is my third time filming this Q&A video, and I've just decided I'm going to sit and I'm going to film it and I'm going to post it without editing it at all. So I'm going to try to stop saying like taking long pauses. Okay, and that's what I just did. And I'm just going to go through the questions pretty quickly because I've already had practice answering them 2 times before. So the first question is from Safi2400 asking, what book made you fall in love with reading and when did it happen? Do you have any tips on finding your own literary taste? So I fell in love with the Molly Moon series. That's like 4 books or 5 books, I don't even know anymore, where this girl, she lives in an orphanage and there's a pug there, and she basically finds a book on how to hypnotize, and she learns how to hypnotize like the pug and then other people, and then in each book she learns like and discovers a new power. So she can like shapeshift and she can read minds. So I loved those books, and then I loved Percy Jackson, of course. Never stopped reading those, like from elementary school until high school. Also the Hunger Games, like I don't even want to explain how obsessed I was with that, and like Divergent and like every fucking book that was popular in 2013. But my 5th grade teacher recommended the Hunger Games to me, and I read it like 19 times because it was the only book I had on my Nook. So those are the books that made me fall in love with reading. And yeah, I had like my reading renaissance 3 years ago. Do you have any tips for finding your own literary taste? Yeah, I would say reading a lot and then kind of making note of what you like, what authors you really like, so on and so forth. And then you can just branch off from there and like discover other things. Like this book right here that I'm reading right now, The Disappointment Artist by Jonathan Lethem. I wouldn't have even bought this or been interested in it if I hadn't like been obsessed with The Secret History, you know? So yeah, it's like a network that you're building kind of things that you're interested in. And even if you love a book, one year you might hate it like 5 years later, and it doesn't even matter because you wouldn't be where you're at without having read what you read before, in my opinion. Okay, so next question is OKXB1IG asking, how was your experience traveling? Did you go solo? What made you start YouTube? My experience traveling was really great. I went with my uncle, and we've traveled together before, like once when I was in high school, and he'd already been to Amsterdam and Belgium. So I thought it would be perfect to go with him, and then we could both go to England for the first time together. And we're both really like into reading, and like, you know, we were going to every single ruin, every single literary landmark, every single bookstore. So it was really fun, and I'm like homesick for the places we were at. Like every day I wake up in my room, I'm like, bro, take me back. And then what made me start YouTube? So over the summer, I saw this YouTube video where this guy was just talking about books that he had read for one of his like Russian literature classes. And I thought, oh, like I hadn't really been watching booktube videos, but I kind of thought that the booktube videos that existed were just like about popular books, you know what I mean? So I just like thought it was so cool that somebody was talking about something I was interested in, and I felt like I maybe would have something to contribute. So yeah, I was like, okay, when I get home, I'm just gonna make a video, and then that's what happened. Okay, so next question is from Ha23. Do you go to college, and if yes, what do you study? I graduated college in May, and I studied communication. N4TXZ, what is your dream job? Where do you hope to be in 10 years? Laurel or Yanni? Dream job, something that I can do well, and something that has me in an environment that's like in the cultural sector, like a museum or like, I don't even know, something like that, with interesting people where I'm learning, like some job where I'm learning to some extent and like using my brain. And I hope to be like, I don't know, I wouldn't mind being abroad. I really wouldn't mind being abroad. And then Laurel or Yanni, I'm pretty sure whichever like word that you're thinking of is the one that you hear. So both. Okay, next question. Kayla P. Oh wait, I'm not gonna read people's last names. So Kayla asks, where are you from and where do you currently live? I'm from Illinois and I live in Illinois. That's as specific as I'm gonna get. Nathan's Nook. Oh, shout out Nathan's Nook. Love Nathan's Nook. Nathan has such a great channel and was like the first person to interact with me, and like he asked me a bunch of questions, and yeah, thank you for the support, Nathan, and like love your channel. So let's get into these questions from Nathan. Books that change the way you move through the world or see the world. I made note of 4, and they were all kind of different in their effects on me. The first is Homer, like the Odyssey and the Iliad. I just think I started reading the Odyssey in 7th grade and I didn't finish it, but even from what I had read, it made such an impact on me because the lines that I could comprehend, like the meaning of, they just like cut so deep. Like it was just so unlike anything I had read before. And I think like kind of understanding and accepting and also enjoying reading such tragedy and like the fucking reality of like, you know, being in ancient times and like the wars and shit, like I don't know, it's just so, I don't know how to explain, but basically those. Next, The Rules of Attraction by Bret Easton Ellis, and I'm putting this on this list because I am always kind of like trying to do the right thing, and like even if I do some things like that would be considered like, I don't know, like I would get in trouble, I still feel like I'm a rule follower and like it's hard for me to break free from the norm or whatever. And so The Rules of Attraction is like so nihilistic and like nobody gives a fuck and everybody has like fucked up priorities, that it was just kind of so freeing to read something like that and see that like people with that kind of attitude towards life like can still move forward. Like it's just crazy, but it just gave me like a new perspective and kind of showed me that like just because things are like objectively wrong or like whatever, like it doesn't mean that they're bad, or in the form of art, like it's good, like, and even if you're uncomfortable, it's still like that doesn't mean it's bad. Yeah. So then the third one, this is like so weird because I feel like, okay, I'm not gonna even edit this video, so I can't take too many pauses or anything. The third book is The Adolescent by Dostoevsky, and this changed my perspective, or maybe not changed my perspective, maybe reassured like me about my perspective about life. Like I felt so seen by its narrator, Arkady or whatever his name is. I feel like I say that all the time. I'm always cutting out every like or whatever. I think he feels like he can recede into his own mind and like this sacred space within himself because he like has such a clear goal ahead of him. Like he calls it his idea, and he feels that as long as he has that, like nobody can get him down. Like he can fail, he can flop, but he knows he's still like working towards this greater purpose even if nobody believes in him. And I'm like, that's so real. I think that's just so relatable to the spot of life that I'm at right now, where I kind of have to pave the way and like, you know, the life that I want to have, like I have to go and like get it for myself. Even if it seems unrealistic or difficult or like there's going to be obstacles, you know, it's just like you feel optimistic even though the odds are against you, I guess. So yeah, and then the last book is The Information by James Gleick, I don't know. And that book just changed the way I view like all of the advanced technology that we have today, and like these communication systems that we have, and like, you know, thinking about what it's like to make a video like this and have people watch it. Like, I feel like nobody is watching when I'm making this video. And like all of these new changes in our world, where like we're experiencing them for the first time, you can like trace back their origins, and it's so like the technology and like the actual science of communication are so closely linked that it's just crazy. Yeah. Okay, next. When did you first get into reading? What books kicked off your love for reading? I think I answered that with the first question, so I'm gonna go to the next one. Go-to breakfast is oatmeal with cocoa powder. Like, you make the oatmeal and then you put a little bit of like natural cacao powder with no sweetener or anything, and then just some maple syrup on top of that. I ate that for breakfast like every day for 2 weeks in a row. And then all of a sudden I forgot how to make it properly, and now it's been like nasty and pasty every time. But yeah. Okay. What culture changed you? And like I said, I've answered these questions twice before, so that's why I'm not even stopping to think about them. Because in the first videos, I would be sitting there for 10 minutes in silence trying to think of an answer. But I would say, so I'm Colombian, and in my childhood, I would go to Colombia every summer for like a month or 3 months, and just this past summer, I was there for 2 months by myself, like with my family, and I think like it's a culture that I've like gotten the chance to experience firsthand so many times for like extended periods of time, that I understand it and like am influenced by it. And I think there's such good parts of it that I try to incorporate into my everyday life. And like all my family that's Colombian is in Colombia pretty much, except for one cousin. And just like keeping that alive, like even in my own household, is just so important to all of us. And like my dad's white and like American, like he's been from where I'm from. He's from where I'm from, and like his family lived here. They've been here, is what I was trying to say. His great grandparents, though, they like came directly from Sicily, so the food tradition is alive and well on my American side, and it's like such delicious Italian food. Like those people that really give a fuck about the ingredients and like making things with like 4 ingredients. And yeah, so I'm super thankful that on both sides of my family the food is delicious. And yeah, I would say like the Colombian culture has influenced me way more than any Italian culture has. And I would say like if we're keeping with the food theme, Korean culture has been like a huge influence for the past like 6 years of my life. And my boyfriend, he's Korean, so like I get home cooked Korean food, and like I like all of it, and I don't find anything too spicy really, and like I'm open to trying, like I'm dying to try like chicken feet. So yeah, food wise, definitely Korean food, because also it's like you can make so many different dishes with the same ingredients, and that's been interesting to kind of learn about. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's it. So silly little drink of choice, I would say I can live off of just water and hot tea, but I also love juice. My dad, he makes juices for us, and it's like beet, butternut squash, like grapefruit chard, ginger, turmeric, like all of that. And I'm not gonna lie, like I love drinking that more than like any store-bought juice. Like it's just so delicious and sweet, like with the beet, you know, and you feel so good after. Oh my god, it scared me. It's my dog coming. Her breathing is so human like. Yeah, so juice like that I love. And then if we're talking alcohol, I hate drinking, but the only cocktail, like the only one that I like and is my go-to is a whiskey sour. Okay, so recent song played on loop. Let me check my Spotify. But I know the answer is Never Lose Me by Flo Milli featuring Lil Yachty. Hold on. Don't I have something that tells me my top songs? Yeah. Never Lose Me by Flo Milli and Lil Yachty. Toi et Moi by Paradis. And Go West by Liz Phair. Where do the questions go? Top 3 films that will have you talking nonstop. So I don't really watch movies that often. I'm really bad about it. I haven't seen a lot of movies. It's hard for me to want to sit and watch a movie. But a movie that I love and I would consider one of my favorite movies is American Hustle. I love that movie. I love when Amy Adams and Christian Bale fall in love to Jeep's Blues, and they're like those shots of them at the dry cleaners, but the spot with all the clothes, like, oh my god, yeah, I love that movie. I could watch it a million times and I would definitely talk through it. And then the next 2 movies I'm just gonna say are Rules of Attraction and American Psycho, because I will talk through them, talking about how accurate they are to the book and also the differences, but mainly like the dialogue in both of those movies is like plucked straight from the pages of the books. So yeah, how could I not talk through that? All right, and then what scents are you drawn to? So I love clean scents, I love manly scents, and recently I've been liking some sweet scents. Like I tried the Ariana Grande hand lotion tester and it was like sugar, but I couldn't stop smelling it. And then I got like a dupe from Target. It's like the pink hemp hand cream and like their front part, like the travel size cosmetics. Yeah, that smells just like it and it smells so good. And then recently, like for Christmas, my boyfriend got me the, what's it called? I forgot. He like told me, like, he asked me if I could even remember the name of the brand and I can't. But anyways, they're like perfumed lotion in the scent like matcha and then a number. Bro, it smells so good. And it smells like, it's giving like bookstore ambiance. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but it smells so good. What painting embodies how you feel at any given point in time? I don't really have an answer for this. There are paintings that I definitely love, but they don't really embody how I feel at any given point in time. But I do really identify with my profile picture on here, that painting. I just saw it and it felt like I was looking in a mirror. Okay. Set of words or mantra that finds its way into your everyday. I don't remember where I heard this, but just the sentence like the score will settle itself. Yeah, the score will settle itself. Maybe I got that from Atomic Habits. Maybe I got that from Bill Burr's podcast. I don't know. But it's basically like saying that what you put in is what you get out, but in a different way that really resonated with me. Yeah, so that's it for Nathan's questions. Thank you, Nathan, for all those questions. And thank you for congratulating me on 1K. Thank you. And thanks to everybody that subscribed. Like, I'm so shy. All right. Final Girl 666 asks, what are some habits that have helped you read more over the years? So I would say just choosing the book is the biggest habit that you can form. So bring a book with you everywhere you go, and you'd be surprised at how many opportunities you have to read when you would normally reach for your phone. Like if you're in a waiting room, or like your friend goes to the bathroom when you're somewhere where there's like a bench that you can sit on and then you could just read while you wait, like, you know. So once you start doing that, you can like read more frequently and it just builds the habit that way. I would say that. Emma2337 asks, has any book ever made you cry or sob? Fave Dostoevsky quote or character? So I've never cried or sobbed reading a book, but my eyes have definitely welled up with a couple of books. I would say A Little Life. I mean, I don't care. my eyes welled up a lot during that. The Iliad, The Blizzard by Vladimir Sorokin. The end of that surprisingly really made me so sad. And then the Metamorphosis, bro, like Gregor with that rotting apple in his shell will never not kill me. I swear I had that book assigned in my intro to fiction class and I didn't reread it for the assignment because I just didn't want to be sad again. And then fave Dostoevsky quote or character. The honest truth is that I barely remember any characters' names after I've read a book. Maybe I remember like the main character's name and that's about it, even if I remember all the other characters. So right now, like I can't even, like I swear in every single book there's always like that guy that lives in the house with the family even though he's not related to them and he's so annoying. Normally that person like makes me laugh. And quote, like I have to go and get my journal and look through everything I've ever written down, which is going to take too long, so I'm not going to have an answer for that one. Lilac Legend asks, what books do you think are underrated or underappreciated? I would say most books can be underrated or underappreciated because I think like each genre has a core of the genre where like everybody has either read those books or heard of those books and they're, you know, seen as really good by everybody objectively. And I think there are so many books on the periphery that are just as good, but it's impossible for everybody to like every book and to have read every book. So yeah, I think that's why it's so important to just read random shit too, even if you've never heard of it, which like I need to normally have at least some tie to a book. Like I didn't know what this was going to be about. I hadn't read any Jonathan Lethem, but it was like tied to an interest of like Jonathan Lethem's upbringing in New York. Like I kind of knew about where he went to college, so that's why I made this decision. So yeah, that's kind of like how you can end up reading stuff that you normally wouldn't have read and then discovering it as being like amazing. So yeah, I'm just eating mints, by the way. Okay, Jack asks, what book do you like very much, though it seems like you shouldn't? I'm gonna say The Song of Achilles, because that book is just so popular, and like I was never really huge on like retellings that weren't Percy Jackson, and that's so close-minded, but it's the truth. But I loved that book. I loved it. I want to reread it on a day that's hot and beautiful, like summertime. Everything's in bloom and the colors are all vibrant and shit. Like I need that, because it kind of reminds me of like when Achilles and Patroclus, they're training in the mountain or whatever. And then also 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami, because like he gets so shit on, and I've read 6 of his books, and the reason I would shit on him is that I can't remember what happens in any of his books after I finish them, except for 1Q84. And I just think that that book is a masterpiece, and I loved it, and I think that it was so well paced, and like the tension was kept throughout the whole thing, and I was like getting frustrated. I'm like, bro, like, are they going to yeah, so I would say that book. Next question is TJWN8YE. What were your best and worst college courses? I'm gonna say I didn't have any worst courses in terms of being interested. Like I even had to take a theology class at the first college I went to, and I still enjoyed that, and like I got to read St. Augustine's Confessions, and I was so reluctant to read it. Like I was so annoyed that I had to take the class, and I ended up loving it. Obviously I was like, bro, like didn't you like your life in the first half? Like whatever. But I still like thought it was worth taking and interesting, and yeah, but I did do poorly in a few classes, like this one geology class, but that was at 8 a.m. so I just like didn't want to go. And then I took a history class as well that I just stopped attending because it was so inconvenient to go to that class, and I had like a D pretty much, like I think I had like a 68, and I just started to show up, email my professor, do all the work, and I ended with a B, and that was like a good like confidence boost that I'm capable of like pulling myself out of a bad grade, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Me Lord Beats asks, how long does it usually take you to finish a book? I don't know. I would say maybe 300 pages is kind of the length of Motherless Brooklyn, which I just read in like 2 days or 2.5 days. But I was reading it nonstop, so it really just depends on how much I like the book. But like 900 words, like Anna Karenina, that took me like 2 months, I believe. But I was reading like many other books at the same time, so I can't really give a great answer for that. But DMLLL or III or DM the third says, show us your reading playlist. I don't listen to music when I'm reading, and I don't have any playlists that are like based on what I'm reading, but my Spotify, if you type in VALEN 115, it should come up, like if you just want to see my playlists. Okay, Clockwork Lemon 854 asks, which books written by female authors would you recommend for an aspiring male author who wants to write female characters with complexity and depth? So I'm gonna be the first to admit that I don't read enough female authors. Like, I see that men outweigh the women in my read list, which I would like to change, but recently I read The Wren by Anne Enright, and even though I couldn't really relate to her like narrator at all, I think there was so much truth in it regardless, and it's like worth reading, and she does a good job of capturing like a female perspective, and she's a woman, so. And then of course like Elif Batuman, like I think she captures girlhood, or at least a certain kind of girlhood, very well in The Idiot. And I would also recommend A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith for that, you know, like younger, more naive female perspective, like not naive, but innocent, I guess. And then also just reading biographies about different women, I think can be helpful. So I would, of course, recommend Stalin's Daughter by Rosemary Sullivan. But yeah, pretty much any biography I think could work. What is your favorite sentence or paragraph in a novel? I don't know that either, because there are a lot and I have a lot written down, but yeah, I don't think I could pick one. Emma asks, shout out Emma. This is my Emma, she knows who she is. Have you ever been inspired by a book character to take on some of their characteristics, careers, mannerisms, or have you learned a lesson from a book character that has stuck with you? Miss you. So first, miss you too so much. And two, I don't even know why you would ask this question, because you saw me fucking be Katniss for Halloween. You saw me go to a Divergent summer camp. Like, I was obsessed with every character. Like, I was trying to be every character I was obsessed with. Like, Sherlock, bro. Like, I have 2 books about how to think like Sherlock and create a mind palace in my room. So my answer is yes. I would say Katniss Everdeen, like, I'm like reading a list that I made, but Katniss definitely, pretty much every like female lead in an apocalyptic, like in The Fifth Wave, like Cassie, like I loved all of those characters. And then I would say now, like, I could genuinely say that even though I can't remember what happens in most Murakami books, in every single one, the narrator, that's a guy, will like just like wake up, read a book, read the newspaper, listen to the radio, go for a walk, go to work, go to a noodle place at night by himself, and come back and read a little bit more and go to bed. And like, especially when I was trying to really like have no social media, that was like goals. And I would say even now, like, it sounds so peaceful to live this lifestyle of this specific narrator. And it's so impossible for me to ever achieve that because I never stop thinking, like, at all times. So, but it's like appealing to me, where it's like their brain is like literally empty and they're just reading and eating and chilling. Yeah, and I think I learned a lot of lessons, like from the corrections. I just see so many of the arguments that I see people in my family make, and it just gives you a better perspective on all sides and allows you to kind of step outside of yourself and like your role in the like dynamic in your real life, and then you can step out and like see it play out with these fictional characters and understand where everybody's coming from a little bit better. And yeah, Maria 7896. Donatar a genius, yes or yes? Yes, of course, duh. I don't care. Like, I feel like maybe some people, like, I don't even give a fuck, honestly, if people have criticisms about her books. Like, to me, it's all like a tweak, and I think she is a genius and everything is perfect, and I don't care. And I'm patiently waiting for her next book. Okay, and then Choking Messiah asks, do you write, and if you do, which writers have influenced your prose style and literary aesthetic the most? So I don't write, like I write notes and lists and journal entries, but that's it. I've tried to write before and like it's not happening, at least not right now. But I think it's fun, like even if it's shitty, like it's fun for me to do like in my own journal in my free time. And like those times that I've tried to write something, it just sounds like the author that I've been reading. So in Colombia, I like wrote this whole like little short story, and it was like so influenced by Conan Doyle because I was reading like my Sherlock Holmes collection. So it's so funny to go back and it's even impossible. It's like impossible for me to read because my handwriting is so bad when I write like that. It's just kind of for fun to get it all out, like out of my brain. But yeah, I wouldn't say I have a prose style or literary aesthetic. And then the last question. Oh wait, it's not the last question, it's the penultimate one. Nexalis Narratives. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. Do you ever find that efforts to be offline can sometimes leave you with too much empty headspace, which can quickly fill with anxiety and existentialism? I've noticed this in myself recently, but I guess that's just part of the transition and up to me to fill that with things that I genuinely care to spend my life doing. So, yes, and I responded to this comment like on the post, which I eventually deleted because I don't even know, whatever. So I have recently like deactivated my Twitter, and not having Twitter, like I still go on YouTube and like I fold and I go on YouTube Shorts, but without having something else to go to, like I don't have Snapchat, I haven't had Instagram in like 3 years, I don't have TikTok on my phone unless I'm making a YouTube short. And yeah, without Twitter, it's like I have nothing else to go to like replenish my attention span. So when YouTube Shorts gets boring, which it eventually will, because you see the same 5 videos like on your feed, then I can just put my phone down and like pick up my book. And every day it's been like I feel less and less anxious at not having like instant gratification, and I'm more like calm. I'm like, okay, not everything is dictated like by what is in my phone. And this is my second time round. I fully relapsed in my phone addiction, but this is like what happened the first time too, where you kind of break through that like period where you're uncomfortable, and then it becomes really peaceful and maybe not so easy, but at least a little bit more manageable. So yeah, and then let me go to my email because I know I got an email from a Derek, I believe, and I didn't write this in the where I wrote everybody else's question. Okay, yeah. Derek asks, when are you going to start doing full reviews? Yes, that's a leading question. That means you should do full reviews of individual books. I went back and forth with this in the second take of this video because I was like, bro, like it feels like a chore, like you know, I feel like I don't really provide that much information about the books that I'm reading, but it's because, like, this isn't supposed to feel like homework. Like, it's just about my life, reading the books that I'm reading that are currently, like, influencing the vibes of my life, and my thoughts. It's not like I would read this book and then, like, do research, like, have it all, you know. But then I started thinking, like, well, yeah, it's true. Like, I do research an author a lot of times when I like what I'm reading, so why wouldn't I make individual reviews? So yeah, my answer is maybe, like, if I really just, like, have that feeling in my gut, this is the video I want to make, then I will make it. I'm not opposed. So, but I just, like, don't even plan the videos ahead. Like, I just look at the shelf and I'm like, oh, okay, like, there's a category of books where I could pull them off the shelf and just talk about them, you know? So maybe. What is your intended major? So I already graduated from my undergraduate college, whatever, but I'm applying to grad school, and I'm applying for cultural data and AI masters, or, like, I'm also applying to the archival and information studies master's program. So that kind of answers that. And then, what is your favorite what is your favorite security question, and what is the answer to it? I'm, like, speaking so quickly because I'm afraid my phone's gonna run out of storage. So basically, the answer is anything that I know that I'm not gonna eventually change my mind about. Like, sometimes when it's, like, the make and model of your first car, I will put, like, Volvo 850 in one, and then for another one I'll answer, like, 1997 Volvo 850, or I'll just say Volvo, or I'll just say Volvo, you know. So it's, like, sometimes I get it wrong, so I try to just do, like, mother's maiden name. But I'm not gonna share that. And then, bro, he says, or I don't know, they say, also watch that video mirroring. If you watched my last video, you would see that I properly mirrored it, and I'm not going to make that mistake again, except I'm not going to mirror this video because I don't actually hold a book up, you know, that you really need to see. Like, I held this up. It says The Disappointment Artist by Jonathan Lethem, essays. So yeah, but trust, like, all my other book review videos, like, I'm gonna do the spoiler warnings and I'm gonna mirror them properly. So don't worry. Thanks for the tip. But clearly you didn't even watch my last video. So okay, maybe I'll edit that cough out at least. But yeah, that's all. I, like, did a speed run. Now I feel like this is such an awkward ending, but